If you're in Seattle, and you need to buy or sell a home, we'll be right there for you. Because we're the realtors that you can trust. So go to ronanddonsitdown.com.
You're listening to The Ron and Don Show on the Ron and Don Radio Network.
Hey, you guys, what's going on? Welcome to episode 861 now of the Ron and Don Show, and we are back live in the Les Schwab studios.
What is up, Ron and Don Nation?
Hey, coming up on the Ron and Don Show, we got to talk about drivers who are making dummies, and they're putting them in their passenger seat, and they're taking over the carpool lanes here in the great Pacific Northwest. Also, we have to talk about, this is really important. A new article out today talked about the fact that all of us love animals, and they did a survey, have you ever had an animal that you would kind of trade some of your years for that animal ability to live longer? So we're going to talk about that. And also, you know, there's been a number of presidents over the years that have been gifted things. Just ask the Clintons. And they hung on to that stuff. So why can't the current president hang on to a plane? We'll get to that. Before we get to that, though, let's get to this. I'd like to stop the show for a moment. In fact, we got to bring back our sound effects machine so that we can stop the show. So we're going to do that next week if you're a fan of the Ron and Don Show. Do you... Before we get going here, do you consider yourself, Ron, in midlife? You're like mid-50s right now, right?
I will be 55 in July. I think.
Are you midlife?
I'm past midlife because, like, I'm not going to be 110. I doubt I'm going to make it to 110.
Yeah.
So if I'm out and about and you meet somebody, you're like, yeah, I'm midlife, because that, I think, is expanded to be longer than midlife.
Yeah.
But in reality, it's probably. Health care continues to improve, so you would hope that quality of life gets better towards the end, like our parents. But like, I look at my parents in their mid-80s, and it's like, okay, like, I'm probably 65.
Yeah.
Like the tank on the gas gauge is probably more towards, it's less than half tank.
Yeah.
What about you?
Well, I get called boomer a lot. And it's like my son's age, like they look at boomers and they call you boomer, and then they have great disrespect for boomers. They do not like boomers. They have lots of problems, and the problem is I'm not a boomer.
I don't think I'm a boomer either.
Yeah, I'm like I think I'm 5 years short of being a boomer, so I'm not a boomer. And then I was thinking the other day,
which probably makes them laugh more because they don't even know what it
watching the show on YouTube, I'm kind of in a midlife pickle after watching the show.
Why?
Well, Matt off the mic said, you got to move the microphone over here. He's our producer, so people can see your face.
Okay.
So I moved the mic like you told me last week, and today I have the mic moved right back to where it was because, here's the pickle, and I talked to my child about this. Midlife, and I had to look it up because I thought I'm beyond midlife. Mm-hmm. We have lots of time still to be midlife.
What is midlife?
Midlife is considered 40 to 65.
65?
Yeah. So we're into our 50s here.
Mid means something different.
So we are midlife right now.
All right, I'll take it.
And then the pickle is this. When you look at my family tree, and this goes back to my grandma Caroline, Sweet Caroline, who we used to have on our radio show quite a bit. In fact, you remember the day where she came on air. She sold us my grandfather's old Buick, and then she drove it
to me. She sold it to you.
All the way across country with my mother. And the deal was, hey, Grandma, if you deliver the car, the Crown Vic, that had only 54,000 miles on it, right? If you deliver the car, I'll pay for your hotel stay, and then I'll pay for the gas, and you come down with Mom. You call in every morning to the radio show. We were doing mornings on 104.7 CCP, Arizona's hit music channel, Ron Don Jacket West. You remember that. And so we made this deal, and then she would call every day, but they would only go like 61 miles. And they had like 2,000 miles to go.
Yeah, they were not making a good time.
And the next thing you know, this car is costing me like $10,000 more.
You overpaid for the original car.
Well, it's because my cousin worked at a Ford dealership. I made a deal with my grandmother to buy the car for $2,500. And then the next time she called, she put Rick on the line, who's my cousin, and he said, no, the car's worth $4,500. How dare you rip off our grandmother? And so we landed somewhere in the middle. I think we landed at about $3,500. And then my older sister ended up with the car. She wrecked it, but we're not going to go into that because I'm not bitter about it. But nonetheless, having my grandmother on was pretty amazing, right? It was good. And so she drove it down.
She was not in midlife. She was clearly past midlife.
So anyway, my grandmother, though, God rest her soul, and this is, but everybody in the family knows it. My grandmother had a turkey neck.
Okay.
Do you know what a turkey neck is?
I'm imagining it's loose skin under your chin.
Yeah. And so when you look throughout my family, when you get to kind of my age, the turkey neck starts, right? The turkey neck.
Right.
So I'm watching us on camera last week, and I'm like, holy shiznit, it's hit. The turkey neck is there. And then also my son told me on the latest trip that we took, he's like, hey, I know you're going to your 40-year high school reunion in 8 weeks. He's like, there's nothing you can do about your hair. There's nothing you can do about it. He goes, but when did you give up cardio? Is what he asked me. And there's on our birthday week where we challenge each other, and then he gave me kind of a birthday challenge for the 40-year reunion. So I lost 4 pounds last week, and I've been working out. I've been vicious. I've been in the gym, and
I'm not going to ask you this in all seriousness. When you lose weight, does anything come off your face?
Well, the turkey neck gets bigger when I lose weight. And then when I gain weight,
that's brutal.
I have less of a turkey neck.
Because I will lose weight in my face when I start to lose weight, which I'm grateful for.
You don't have a turkey neck, though. Like you
but it's
have
thick.
a chin.
It's thicker.
So what I've been doing is I looked online.
Don't fall into the
see that
face exercises.
See what I'm doing?
That's a myth. That's a myth.
That is supposed to help with the turkey neck.
That's the most unattractive thing you've ever done.
And there's like 10 different like turkey neck exercises that you have to do. So I'm gonna today, because we're on YouTube now, I run it on TV. I'm hiding over here behind the microphone, and then you just got to let me know when I lose too much weight and the turkey neck comes out. Boom! I got to stop right there, eat more protein, lift some more weight. I'm gonna have to do these turkey neck exercises.
In all seriousness, if it really bothers you, have you ever thought about just getting a little suction under there, like a little liposuction or a lift?
I'm only midlife.
I'm just saying, it's like
I can't believe
it's not a big deal.
If
it bothers you,
you're telling me to go get liposuction.
Lipo neck suction. Do they do that? They have to do that, I imagine.
Yeah. So anyway, let me know. I'm horrified. I'm horrified of going to my 40-year reunion.
Do this for me. Do this for me.
Being in great shape, and then I got Grandma Caroline's turkey neck.
Do this for me. Look up. Brad Pitt just had a couple things done to his face.
How do you know?
Because it popped up in my YouTube feed.
Okay.
And look at what he did. It's very subtle.
Yeah.
It looks great.
Okay.
And it shaved the turkey neck right off his face. Yeah. Like, go look at what Brad Pitt did.
I'll check it out.
If it really bothers you, try it.
Now because I'm bigger, I have the double neck. So I either have the turkey neck or the double neck.
I think if people
but maybe I can land somewhere in the middle. I wonder what Brad Pitt paid for that though, because
it's worth it.
Him and Angelina just sold the winery, I think, so he probably had money to spend on getting his the turkey neck.
If it really bothers you, there's options.
Yeah. All right. Hey, let's get into the news as we see it here today. As I break my pen here, sorry about that. And let's talk a little bit. I used to date a gal. Are they still gals? I used to date a gal who was
middle-aged, they're
who
gals.
was a sergeant in the State Patrol. She was in District 2 going up and down the I-5 corridor, and she had 8 troopers under her. And some of the most fun that we ever had is when they would catch somebody who had a dummy sitting in the passenger seat in the carpool lane. This used to be, though, when you couldn't just jump in the carpool lane as a single person and pay more. Because like when you go down 167, for instance, if you want to be in the carpool lane and it's just you.
Flex pricing.
Yeah, you can just jump in, and I think it's like $20 a mile. It's rather expensive. So I was kind of shocked to find out, like, there are people still out there, and I guess it's a big story, that are building dummies, putting them in your passenger seat, and they're jumping in the carpool lane. I have to say a couple times, because I got a Eurovan and I got a dog in the back, I've jumped in the carpool lane just a couple times to make a pass. I think when the troopers see that, they're like, yeah, that's a family rig. I'm not going to have an issue. But if you jump in the carpool lane and you're driving a Lamborghini and you don't have a family in there, or you've stuffed a dummy, chances are they're still going to pull your ass over.
I think this is a thing that should be at the discretion of the officer, because when you looked at the photographs of these dummies, one of them was very well done. Like it was a female mannequin.
I would date her.
It had a wig on, makeup. It was fully dressed in matching clothes.
Scale 1 to 10, I'd give it a 7.8.
The other one was a piss poor attempt to throw something in the back seat and act like it was a dummy.
Yeah.
So if at the discretion of the officer, if they come up and get like a chuckle or like a, dude, that looks pretty good, to just give them a warning, let them on their way, because they're saying there's all these fines, and you're just, the fine goes up if you're like deceptively trying to do. It's like, dude, it's the carpool lane. We got. I'm going to go on my old man rant here for a minute. Past middle age.
Oh boy.
The fact that we spend so much time on things like this, parking infractions, infractions on the HOV lane. I know there are different departments, but when I can go within a mile of where I live and see people literally shooting cocaine or freebasing cocaine on the sidewalk.
Here we go.
And nobody gives a rip about it. And yet we're going to go like lights and sirens for a guy that has a dummy in the passenger seat. Like, I think it's a little out of balance.
It's because one makes money and the other one costs money. You know that. It's about,
understood, but
it's about connecting revenue or collecting revenue.
Importance of issues, though, I think the important thing should be important, and the unimportant thing should be unimportant. So, these people, sure, give them a ticket if you really want to. I think it's funny. I think most people think it's funny, especially if it's well done.
I think you should be able to buy. I think you should be able to buy a dummy, sponsored by State Patrol, and let's say you spend $1,000 a year on your dummy, and throw the dummy in the car, and all that money create some state revenue, because that's really what we're doing anyway. It's just to create revenue. So why not charge people for dummies? Or Matt off the mic, we could charge him like $2,000 for Matt off the mic, and he'll ride around with you all month long. Oh, more in a minute.
If you find yourself dreaming about a new home, go from just a dream to the Dream Team. Schedule your time at ronandonsitdown.com.
All right, you guys, welcome back to the Ron and Don Show. Ron is a dog person. I'm a dog person sometimes.
Oh, you have a great dog now.
We do have a great dog. Yeah. Story I read today. I want to get your thoughts, because I know you love our dog, Charlie the dog, as much as we do. And we sure do love him. He's a great family member. It's great to have his heartbeat. In fact, is he allowed here in the studios?
Possibly. I don't know.
Okay. If I were to bring his dog bed in here, he would just lay down over there. He's missing you because we used to tape at my house. And so he kind of stands by the door on podcast day. And then when you don't show up,
tell him I've abandoned him.
He's very disappointed. Yeah. And he also goes on he's always out in the van with me. We're always out visiting clients, and clients love him. New story, though, says where they kind of ask people, hey, if your dog could live longer, would you be willing to live a shorter life? And what was it? It was
56%.
Yeah, almost 60% of the people, Ron, said, yeah, I would do that. I would shorten my life for my dog. Have you ever had an animal that, or even a person that you would shorten your life for?
Well, I was thinking about this because it depends on the ratio. Like, the thing we've always learned about, or we've heard our whole lives, is a dog year is like 7 human years. So would I shave 7 years off of my life to give my dog 1 extra year of life? Answer to that is no. The love for an animal, though, does go deep. I dated a woman way back in the day who lived with this guy that was a surgeon. And when his dog died, he paid something like $200,000 to get his dog
Wait,
cloned.
you were dating a woman who was dating a surgeon who had a
she
dog?
She lived at the...
This is a nasty ass
She
triangle.
lived in a house that was owned by a surgeon.
Okay.
And so...
Is she dating him, though?
No. He was married. She just lived in like an apartment on the property.
But you said that she was dating him.
She was dating me.
She's dating you. The surgeon lives in the house.
No. Surgeon has a big house with an ADU.
Surgeon has a house. She's living at the house.
She's living at the house.
You're dating her.
I'm dating her, so I met their dog.
Got it.
And so when that dog died, he spent something like $200,000 to clone that dog. And
What?
Yeah, he cloned the dog. He loved this dog so much he spent a couple $100,000 to clone the dog.
Wow.
And the irony of it was...
It's not the same dog.
It's not the same dog.
Doesn't have the soul of the other dog.
And so he was...
Even though people think dogs don't have souls, I think they do.
He was left with this... It looked exactly the same, but it was not the same dog.
Yeah.
And... I never asked him if he regretted it. It's his money. Do what you want with the money.
Should have just stuffed it for like $2,000 and put it on his couch and used it as a pillow.
But the urge to do that, I know, is very strong. So for me,
when I die, stuff me and just put me on your couch.
Wow, that is creepy. I've seen someone do that. I don't think I would exchange years of my life for a pet's life. As much as I love dogs, that's the natural order of things. Is they have a lifespan, we have a lifespan. It's not. That's just the way it's supposed to be.
What about any human? Would you shorten your life for a human? Would you shorten your life for your mom?
Again, it depends, because here's the X factor on all this. We don't know when we're going to die. So my life could end tomorrow, and it would already be short.
Well, some people know when they're going to die,
some people do,
or they have an idea when they're going to die.
And the other thing,
and both our parents are in their 80s now.
Right,
your parents, my mom, they're in their 80s, so they're probably closer to the end than they are to the beginning.
I don't know if this is a little Debbie Downer on this thing, but when you read about longevity and you read about and you study end of life medicine, adding year 99 to 100 has vastly diminishing returns than when you save an infant and they get to then live their entire life.
Yeah, when you're 96 and you're looking around, like my Uncle George said, when I'm out of teeth, I'm out of here. He died with 3 teeth. Like, I have respect for that. He's like, when I'm down to soup, and he was down to soup. Last time I saw him, he was eating some soup.
Right.
And I'm like, you're checking out soon, aren't you? And he's like, yeah, I got 3 teeth and I'm down to soup.
So even with a pet or a human, if you're tacking on an additional year when the quality of life is very poor, I don't think that's a great exchange. And I don't think the pet or the person would go, give me one more year of suffering. Because like my birth mother, I was adopted in her final year of life, and she did a euthanasia ceremony when she passed away. Her quality of life was so poor that there were medical interventions that would have given her a longer life. And she finally met with the family and was just like, my quality of life is bad. I don't want to go to Stanford Medical and give me 6 more months.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be 6 more months of agony. And so I think that when you think about this, the sentiment is great. And I think people don't really seriously think about it. The sentiment of, I love my dog so much that I would shorten my life to make their life longer.
Yeah.
But in reality, if it came down to that equation where you could literally go into a clinic and say, okay, your life's going to be 7 years shorter.
Yeah.
The dog's life's going to be 1 year longer. They're both going to be the worst years of your life.
Oh, wow.
At the very end, here, sign that contract. I don't think it would be 56% anymore.
You still didn't answer what about your girlfriend? Would you shorten your life for your girlfriend?
It depends on when we're talking about.
So it's a no.
No, because again,
sounds like a no. You would not shorten your
I don't
life.
know when I'm going to die. So what part of my life am I exchanging?
Yeah.
Like, seriously, what part am I exchanging my life right now? Am I exchanging an imaginary
Your
me?
life right now?
No.
You would.
And I wouldn't expect anyone to exchange that for me.
Okay.
What about you?
I think hey, Matt, for your kids, would you? Do you feel that way? Yeah. You do. I think when you have a kid, it's different. And I think for people that have dogs and cats and birds and sheep that are like children to them, like Charlie, as much as I love him, Charlie's a dog, right? But my dog that I had when I was a teenager, like that dog, Duchess, was my buddy. But to your point, it was 16 years old when Duchess passed. So the quality of life was not great. When I was a teenager, though, my dad had split. A lot of not great things going on in my family life. Like that dog provided love, stability, unconditional love at that time. And I remember the morning that she died, and then picking her up, putting her in a pickup truck, driving her down, and no one prepares you for this, right? And driving her down to where they destroy animals and leaving her in a cage, knowing that they were going to destroy her. That was very, very difficult. And I'd stayed up with her all night when she was dying. And she'd scratch at the door, and I'd pick her up, and I'd let her outside, and she'd go lay down in the snow. She knew that she was dying. I stayed up with her all night. I slept on a couch. And then when I woke up, and she was laying in the spot that she always laid to sun herself. Her body had bloated, and my mother was going up and down the stairs, didn't know that she had passed. And then later on, we realized that. Like in that moment, I would have exchanged my life.
In the moment of distress, of course.
In that moment. But my other dog, Nola, who you made me rescue.
That's true.
Remember?
Well, you needed a dog at that time in your life.
There was a bunch of animals that had been rescued during Katrina that were sent to states all over America. And I think like 500 of these animals had landed in New Orleans, and then we had
landed in Seattle
from New Orleans. So we had King County come in, which is supposedly a no-kill shelter, and then you talk to people there that actually are involved in the killing of the dogs. They have to kill all the time, so they kill animals all the time. They'll tell you they're no-kill, but it's not true. And so we did this adoption thing on air, right? And we had these dogs adopted.
It was a cool dog,
and we were down to Nola and
little hound dog.
A little hound dog, and boy, did that dog like to shit everywhere, like in the back of my car, all over the house.
No one ever promised you his house trained.
Would never take a shit in the backyard, but boy, didn't miss a carpet, a hardwood floor.
So you'd exchange your life for Nola.
I remember when it was time for her to go, and she was like very old at this point and wearing a diaper, and one of my friends said no, and I was involved in a project at my house, and she couldn't go down the stairs anymore, so I'd have to pick her up. I'd take her out to the yard. She wouldn't go to the bathroom. I'd bring her back in the house. I'd take her diaper off, let her go lay down, and then boom. So I was just cleaning this up all the time. So then the morning came where my friend is going to come pick her up, rehome her, and like my next door neighbors, a veterinarian, said, "Hey, it's time to put that dog down." And I'm just like, I don't know. I put the dog down. My friend says, so anyway, I decided I'm going to take Nola on one last stroll. So it was a rainy day, kind of like today here in Seattle, and we couldn't stroll very far because she couldn't walk very far. So we walked down the street a little bit, and then we came back up. And then I put, so we're standing there, and we're waiting for my friend to come by to pick her up, and I'm crying a little bit. I'm kind of misty-rained about it, and so I'm petting Nola, and then my friend is pulling up, and I wave, and the next thing you know, bam! Just laid out on my front lawn. Nola had taken another shit. I didn't see it. I stepped in it. Flat down on my back. I threw my back out, and I was so mad at that damn dog. I could not wait to see that dog go. That dog ended up living for another 3 years, and supposedly when she left me, she was like 16 years old. And those animals, they carry 70% of their body weight up in their shoulders. And so a lot of times, and her skeleton had locked up before, they just lock up and they never unlock. And somehow we got her skeleton unlocked. She lived with these 3 little boys that loved her, and they would send me pictures all the time. And every time they sent me a picture, all I could think about is that dog taking a shit in the back of my BMW. More in a minute.
Ron and Don, from radio to real estate. When you're ready to grab a cup of coffee and sit down with the guys, go to ronanddonsitdown.com.
All right, you guys, welcome back to the Ron and Don Show. A lot of people talking about this story. This story came out about a week ago by the time that you hear this, is that the president in a country that he just visited, where he has some investment with a golf course, some cryptocurrency, some other things. They want to give the United States a plane, and he's like, hey, who am I not to take the plane? Who is he not to take a free plane? And I think he said we're either all dumb or stupid not to take a plane. The backstory on this plane, though, that I don't hear anyone talking about, that we should all understand, and I read about this a lot in going to D.C. last year because I was very, very interested. I had read when Marine One flies that there's other Marine Ones that fly with it. I didn't
What's the difference between Marine One and Air Force
Marine One is the helicopter that they use to fly from Air Force One to. So I went over there in the flight path, and Joe Biden was still president for another couple of weeks. It's true that Marine One flies, but I thought there's other two decoy Marine Ones. It flies with other helicopters. It's escorted by other military helicopters, but there's only one Marine One. And then I imagine there's a backup Marine One somewhere. And then there has to be multiple Marine Ones for when he travels, for instance, right? So you're going to stage a Marine One in D.C., and then he just went to Qatar, and some people call it Qatar. So maybe they shipped a Marine One over there. Along with that, Air Force One, there's actually two Air Force Ones. And I used to think they would fly simultaneously. They don't. But there might be one Air Force One, because all Air Force One comes...
I thought whatever plane the president is in is Air Force One.
Yeah, but there's actually two that are built, and then it comes with all the armored vehicles and everything else. So like the tank that he drives around in, that's famous with Barack Obama. There's two of those, right? And so there might be an Air Force One in D.C., and then there might be one staged somewhere else. And we don't necessarily know which one he's on, but he's on one of those planes. Air Force One is currently 40 years old, right? And he's like, kind of like when he went into the White House the first time, he looked around and he said, this place is a dump. If you've been to the White House, he's not wrong. It kind of is a dump. So anyway, but it's our dump. It's the people's dump. When he was in the White House the first time, he did what George Washington did. He did what former presidents are supposed to do. All the gear that the future president is going to need, you're supposed to order that for them. So like when Washington built the White House, he knew that he wouldn't be president. He would never live in the White House, but he knew to build the White House in order for the next presidency. So that's what he did. And any work that's been done on the White House over the years, because the White House has really gone through, like you think about Abraham Lincoln, for instance. There's a reason why he's dead in Ford Theater. There was only one Secret Service agent at the time that was attached to him. During that time, you could go knock on the White House door. There would be people in the same way that you see people sleeping around in tents in Seattle. There are people that would sleep out on the White House lawn. So, and you could, it really was the people's house at that time. And then as assassinations happened, especially with Lincoln, and then of course with Kennedy, that kind of changed everything. But it was Trump's job. It was President Trump's job to order the new Air Force Ones and to order those from Boeing, which he did. And in fact, you saw there's a model of it in his first presidency that he had sitting on the table, and it's all trumped out in very Donald Trump colors. So he ordered those two planes. The planes didn't arrive in time, and they're supposed to arrive during the Biden administration, and then Boeing gets behind on making these planes, and we know that Boeing's had a lot of issues with planes and making planes. What Biden does when he's still president is he goes in and he changes the Air Force Ones again because he doesn't want them to be the color that President Trump chose. So he made sure that he changed those. And even before he left office, he made some changes again. And the reason he made those changes again is he knew that those planes would not be ready in time. Trump would go through his whole presidency, and those planes would not be ready until the other side of his presidency, which is true. So Trump looks at this and says, damn it, I don't want to fly around in a 40-year-old plane. I want to fly around in a brand new plane. So he tours his plane back in February. He looks at it. And the problem is this. Boeing has now said, we think we'll deliver those planes, but they'll be towards the end of his presidency. He wants that plane now. There's supposed to be 2 of those planes. And then the big concern is, well, what if we go ahead and they bug this plane? Now we're going to, even though the plane is free, we're going to have to spend $750 million taking this plane apart. We already have 2 other planes that are currently being built. He just doesn't like flying around in a 40-year-old. And sometimes when you see him stand in the plane, talking to the press, it does look like it's kind of a dump in there. So
well, I mean,
what say you about the plane? And he's like, hey, Ronald Reagan has a plane at his library. We're going to take the plane and we're going to park it at my library, and it's just going to be part of my legacy. And in the meantime, I'm flying around the world. I'm making deals. I can't be out there in like a 77 Crown Vic like I bought from my grandparents.
So the plane from Qatar, I think, is a 14-year-old plane. It is decked out. So here's the thing on all of this stuff that the lens that I look at it through is when you think about, I don't know if you ever remember that allegory of the scorpion and the frog. And do you know this allegory? There's the frog trying to get across the river. The scorpion's trying to get across the river.
And then they take the frog, they throw him in some hot water.
That's a different thing.
The frog doesn't know he is being boiled until he's dead.
No. So the scorpion goes to the frog and he says, hey, take me across the river. And this frog goes, why would I do that? You're a scorpion. You're going to kill me. And he's like, why? If I kill you, then I'm also going to die because we're both going to drown. So he convinces the frog to take him across. Scorpion jumps on the frog's back to get halfway across the river. Scorpion stings the frog and they both die. And he goes, why did you do that?
Wow.
Because I'm a scorpion.
Yeah.
So this is exactly like, for anybody to be surprised.
Who's the scorpion?
Trump is the scorpion.
Okay, who's the frog?
The American people are the frog.
Oh, they are. Okay.
So for people to be shocked, they're like, oh my gosh, this guy took a $400 million plane from someone that has, humanitarian rights and is an ally with Hamas and et cetera, to be shocked by that is what I'm shocked by. Because this is exactly what a scorpion does. A scorpion, like...
I want to be a scorpion.
The scorpion is a scorpion.
Yeah, hell with being a frog.
And so if...
I'm with the scorpions.
The idea of like what is normal and what is shocking and what is ethical and all of these things, you voted for a scorpion, and a scorpion's going to do what scorpions do.
Yeah.
And he is doing what a scorpion does. It's so I can only give so much bandwidth of outrage on all these things because
I think it's important to only have so much bandwidth for it
because
then we're not paying attention to the other stuff we should be paying attention to.
It's not my circus in a sense to fight that. Like there are people whose job and careers
not my circus, yeah.
are need to pursue these things. This is the interesting thing to me is I have people that I love and care about that voted Republican. And so I try to check in with them and not be with no agenda other than to see how it's working. Like, hey, you voted for this presidency. Like I did check in with someone. It's like when the tariff thing happened and they lost an incredible amount of money in their investment portfolio. I was like, how does that feel? Like, are you outraged by it? Does it matter to you? And like,
did you allow them to do the same thing when Biden shouldn't have been president because he was out of his mind?
Sure,
you did. Okay.
I think that,
which is fair.
Yeah, it's absolutely fair.
We're not Democrats. We're not Republicans. We're Americans. So how does that look?
Yeah, and I even going back to Obama. Like Obama didn't do everything. I didn't agree with every single thing that he did. So my point being is like this is a majority of Americans wanted this administration. And I think that any intelligent person could foresee that this is the type of thing that they were voting for. So it's not up to me to go, you guys were all wrong. It's to say, this is what you voted for. Is this working for you?
Would it be different if they said, hey, these planes are 40 years old. There's a safety issue. We're going to get this plane. We're going to retrofit it. I'm going to fly around on this thing. And when I'm done, whoever the next president is going to fly around on this thing too, and we'll be flying around on this thing for the next 30 years. Instead, he's saying, when I leave, it goes with me.
Now, to me, this is just my personal ethics and beliefs. I think we should be kind and accepting to our allies and people that are in bed with terrorist organizations, that we should not be kind with them. That's just what I believe.
Yeah.
And so to me, it's not even about the plane. It's about who's giving the plane. And if Britain wanted to give us a plane, that's a different story, because you're getting, it's the person doing the gifting and what the expectation is from that person. And to think that there's no expectation from Qatar, or like he's in Saudi Arabia right now, that there's no expectation in return, that's just not human nature. So for me, like, I would prefer it if the United States did not cozy up to folks that support Hamas.
This is what I'd say on this, and I think it's really interesting. Go check out what he said when the Clintons left the White House, and there was furniture that was gifted to them. And they put that in the residence of the White House. And then when they left the White House, they took the furniture. They were forced to bring the furniture back, and go look at what he said about it and what he said specifically about the Clintons. And for heads of state, they're given stuff all the time. In fact, if you Google and look at pictures, or I guess most people are using AI now, it's incredible the stuff that's given them.
Normally not planes.
No, and I think they're allowed to keep things that are, the value has, it's either like $50 or like under $150. So when you see heads of state, when they're traveling, they're given all these things. You're not allowed to take those things with you. And that's why it's specifically in the Constitution. So if he said, hey, Air Force One's is dangerous. I don't want to be flying around on that thing. It puts my life at stake, my staff at stake. We don't want to do that. Then I'd be like, okay. And we're going to retrofit, because it's going to cost more to retrofit the plane than even the plane's worth.
But like, that's the best well-maintained plane in the universe.
Yeah, and then the question is he just going to fly? Is he going to put a new coat of paint on it and fly that thing around? Because that thing has to be bugged out, right? It just, they talk about the Trojan horse. It has to be. So anyway,
frog meets scorpion.
Well,
scorpion meet frog.
And then the presidential library hasn't been built yet. So we're going to.
What's going to be in that library?
Lots of golf clubs and lots of red hats. Hey, guys, thanks for listening to this episode of the Ron and Don Show. Don't forget, it's the same show that you used to listen to in terrestrial radio on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. And then every Friday we do something. It's kind of a real estate only podcast, because at the end of the day, we love to buy, sell, and help you guys negotiate investing in real estate here in the great Pacific Northwest, right?
Yeah, we can do a sit down with you if you are jumping into your real estate journey as a buyer, a seller, or an investor. Don and I both specialize in investment properties. Remember, we sell the sound.
Yep.
And you can go to ronandonsitdown.com and book your sit down today.
Buyer's Playbook, Seller's Playbook. That's an ebook we can send to you. Maybe we'll even send you, I sat down with Ron and Don coffee mug. We'd like to meet online first, right? And then find out if we're going to be a good team. And then we'll come out and we'll visit you at your property. I was just up in Edmonds yesterday. I was off to Port Ludlow this week. We've been over to Briar this week. I'm heading down to Ording on Saturday. So we sell the sound because you guys live all over the sound. And the cool thing is we have a unique perspective on what's happening in neighborhoods regionally, because we sell all over the place. And also because of the reach we have with this podcast, now on YouTube, Ron and Don TV, over 2 million hits on our podcast, we're able to take our ability. In fact, I think that we have more followers than any brokerage out there. We're able to take the leverage of our social media to help sell your home as well. So anyway, make sure you're listening this Friday. And we have a really cool home that we're going to talk about. It's called a fixer. What is a fixer? It's a house we didn't stage. We barely mowed the lawn. We brought it to market. And why are so many people interested in this? We've had hundreds of people look at this home. We're going to talk about it on our Friday show. So don't forget, if you need us, we sell the sound. ronandonsitdown.com. Until next time, you keep your head up and your shoulders back. And don't forget, you've been listening to the Ron and Don Show only on the Ron and Don Radio Network.
Well, that's it. Show's over. We'll see you next time on the Ron and Don Radio Network.